fire ship. It's coming into ram.
Ready. Yes? ASEAN!
Age of Empires 2 is one of those magical classics. Nostalgia may affect that feeling, at least for me, but it's even more magical that I love Age of Empires 2 as much as I do, considering I'm not crazy about RTS games. That being said, I never thought the campaign was its strong suit. I remember spending a whole lot more time late at night playing multiplayer scenarios of my own creation. Age of Empires 3 still allows that free will action, but it's got a surprisingly solid campaign to complete the package. I don't want to say it's better than 2, but, like, it is better. Honestly, it's hard to admit that. As I said, I loved playing Age of Empires 2 scenarios in multiplayer indefinitely. But that was then, and while I still enjoy multiplayer, I find I'm more of a finish the campaign and rest on my laurels kind of guy. I like to just finish the prescribed content, and Age of Empires 3 provides a fun campaign that actually has an interesting story. This story follows an early American discovery up to the mid-1800s, all viewed from the perspective of the Black family. Descendant stories are cool, but it also takes the behind-the-scenes history approach popularized most recently by the Assassin's Creed games, and mostly follows political actions as influenced by the tales of the Fountain of Youth. The game even pulls off a cool cliffhanger-ish ending, and I wasn't expecting to get into the story as much as I did. Of course, I enjoyed the gameplay even more. Age of Empires 3 offers the same kind of resource hoarding, unit building action as its competitors and predecessors, but obviously with a few differences and improvements. Most notably, the game features an XP system which factors into the Home City rewards. With the XP points you gain from completing various objectives, you can have baskets of food, additional military units, and various other upgrades and bonuses shipped to your colony. And you can of course improve everything the colony has to offer as you accrue enough resources to move on to the next age, each leap requiring more and more resources. As such, there's a great balance between managing basic settlers and their gathering tasks, building as necessary, training units, and waging war. The menus that operate all these tasks can initially be a little overwhelming, but Age of Empires 3 does a relatively great job at not letting it be too overwhelming from the get-go. Once you understand them all, these systems are obviously fun in self-created scenarios or multiplayer, but the campaign takes it to another, not necessarily higher, level.
We need to build an artillery foundry and train hook throwers. They know how to deal with it.
You see, everything in the campaign is dynamic. By dynamic, I mean PR speak for scripted and a little bit above the everyday actions you see in other modes. Most missions follow a set pattern. Different types of defending and sieging pop up often. There are also these traveling missions, for lack of a better term. These missions don't allow the creation of new units, resource gathering, or anything else you would typically do in a strategy game. So you would think these missions are the weakest part of a strategy game, but I was pleasantly surprised by them. They're a nice change of pace from the hectic management present in most of the game, not for their own ways of garnering rewards and improvements. Ultimately, they just end up being a ton of fun while also being smart diversions. They don't pop up too much that they ruin the expected gameplay or grow tired. They also represent my favorite part of the typical missions, exploring. Most maps are cloaked in darkness at the onset, and only sending units into the void reveals the map, and ending all enemies, potential allies, and treasures to be found. And once again, that balance comes into play.
You have located the enemy colony.
Having a group of 5 or 6 guard the relative safety of the town center to scout, settlers hunting, chopping, and mining, and units gathering for the inevitable battle is an immensely satisfying feeling. It's even more satisfying when you just totally crush the enemy after patiently preparing, and somehow even cooler when you win by the skin of your teeth. Ultimately, Age of Empires 3's calling card is balance, and it nails RTS gameplay while not being totally inaccessible. This is about as good as it gets for RTS fans, whether you're a casual admirer or a hardcore fan. Just be aware that you haven't had any of the water from the Fountain of Youth, so you can't spend all of your time playing. Just late at night when you're supposed to be sleeping.
It is already broken, Morgan. Will you break with it?